Hello everyone. In this session, we are going to understand the concept of main method in Java, the public static void main. This particular method, which we have always used so far in almost every program that we created. So what is it? What is the importance of it? And what are some of the frequently asked questions in the interview around that? And some conceptual understanding of the main method is what we are going to see in this session. So main method in Java is, you can say, as a starting point, the entry point of the execution. The reason we had created a main method, if you go like static main, so we have a main method, and inside the main method we created the objects of other methods, etc. So why did we do it? If you try to execute a Java program, the JVM looks for a main method. So whenever we execute a Java application, JVM looks for public static void main method and executes it. So this main method is the entry point, is the starting point in the execution of any Java program. First, main method gets executed, and then main method calls all the other methods which are required to execute the application. So what is JVM? It is Java Virtual Machine. Again, there is a lot of theory behind it, but let us try to understand this concept in easy way. When Java released in 1995, at that duration, most of the programming languages, they always used some or the other operating system. They were dependent on some or the other operating system. They were kind of tied up to those. Now, Java created a revelation, and it introduced platform independence. And when I say platform independence, it simply introduced something called as JVM as a baseline program, which takes care of providing the runtime environment for the Java code to get executed. So Java introduced a baseline program called as JVM that can be installed on any of the operating systems. And then JVM used to provide, and JVM provides the basic configuration, or you can say basic runtime environment to execute any code that is developed in Java. So that is the JVM, a baseline program that provides the runtime environment. Now, this runtime environment, when you install on say Linux or Macintosh or Windows, so a Java program, when you develop it on Macintosh, you can easily take it on a Windows operating system and run it, just because the underlying, the base program is the same. That's the JVM. Okay, so now we understand one thing, that when we execute a Java application, JVM looks for public static void main method to begin the execution of that particular application. So one thing we understand here, that public static void main, this main method, is the entry point of the execution of any of the Java application. Now we are talking about the applications which are developed in core Java, not any serverlet kind of applications. Why it is public? First thing, we know that public has the scope everywhere in the project, and then it is easy for JVM to find it and execute it. So scope wise, if you make it as a default access specifier or a private, then there is no way JVM can find the method and execute it. So makes sense to make it public. Now let's look at void. Why it is void? The main method is not supposed to return any value. We know that whenever we provide some data type before the name of the method, then we expect that method to return that particular type of data. In this case, we are not expecting main method to return anything, but it is just the beginning of the execution of any application, an entry point. So it is not expected to return anything, but it is expected to execute some other methods which are inside that. Now let us come to the static part. Very important. In the previous sessions, we saw what is static, what is the importance of static. And we have also seen that whenever we create a method as static or a variable as static, then we no need to create the object of the class to execute it. We no need to create the object of the class to access it. So again, in this case, when we make the main method as static, for JVM, it is very easy to access the method from the class directly without creating the object of the class. So easy. For JVM, it is very easy to just to find a method which is public static void main and execute it. instead of creating the object of the class, and then, for example, if it creates an object, it means that we need a constructor, and when we say we need a constructor, there can be multiple constructors also, because constructor overloading is allowed, then which constructor to use, what parameters to pass. So in this case, there wouldn't have been any consistent way of executing the application, right? Because there can be multiple constructors, so which constructor to call when we want to execute a specific application. That confusion arises with that. It was the easiest way to just make it static, so JVM can call it without creating the object right away. That is the reason why the main method is static. Now let's come to this part. What is string args? This is an array of strings. In this series, we haven't yet started understanding the concepts of arrays, but just understand that this is an array of strings. The args stand for arguments. Now, what arguments are we talking about? Whenever you try to execute a Java application from a command line, for example, and you want to pass some arguments, some command line parameters, then you can pass those in the form of array of strings, and that will then get utilized when the execution gets kicked off. So just to understand the concept, string, this bracket, and args is nothing but the array of strings. And what is no such method error main? What is this? So this error, this is an interview question, that is why we are discussing. So no such method error occurs when JVM tries to search for public static void main, because whenever we execute a Java application, what JVM searches for? It searches for exact syntax, public static void main method, and if it does not find any main method in the program, then it shows this error. JVM throws the error, no such method, and program is terminated. Okay, simple thing. What is main method? An entry point. What is JVM? A baseline program that provides the runtime configuration. Why is main method declared as static? Because JVM can call it directly without creating the object. And what is string args? Is the array of strings which can be passed as argument. And no such method error that occurs when JVM does not find a public static void main method and program is terminated. As simple as that. Very important but very easy concepts. Thank you.